Hello Internet. Today we're going to be performing our run-in service. That's our 1,000 kilometer service on a 2023 R1250 GSA. For the final drive oil change, I'll be using 180 milliliters of Hypoid axle oil from BMW. After putting the bike on the center stand, I put a drain pan underneath the rear drive and then take a T45 to loosen the drain plug. So this time I'll want to inspect the drain plug as it is magnetic, and we'll collect any debris that may have accumulated in the bottom of the sump. After allowing the drive oil to drain, I like to come up here with an 8mm hex head. We'll remove the fill plug. You'll notice I didn't remove the fender, as my filling bottle has a long tube, which you'll see momentarily. After installing a new O-ring, I can then reinstall the drain plug. To install the drain plug, I'll thread it in by hand and then torque to 20 Newton meters. Once the drain plug is reinstalled, I can put my long straw into the fill plug and begin to fill 180 milliliters of Hypoid oil. Once we've done that slow process of draining it in, because the splines are quite close, we can wipe off the fill area for any spillage. Prepare our fill plug with a new copper washer and install. For the next part of the service, we'll want to remove the 5 T30 Torx bolts on the bottom of the belly pan. Once we've removed the belly pan, we can gain access to the engine oil drain plug located here. This is a 10mm hex, loosens clockwise. Once we've cleaned the drain plug of any metallic debris, we'll want to install a new crush washer onto the drain plug prior to reinstallation. At this time, I like to cover the exhaust header with a little bit of tin foil prior to removing the oil filter. This prevents any oil from getting onto the exhaust and smoking. One thing to note is the run-in oil filters are not the same size as a standard oil filter. Therefore, my oil filter wrench will not fit my standard BMW oil filter wrench. So I just use a regular oil filter wrench for automotive use. A pair of channel locks could do as well. We'll be replacing the run-in oil filter with a normal oil filter from BMW. Before installing the new oil filter, I like to wipe the area. Make sure everything's clean of any debris. I'll then take a little bit of the used motor oil and smear some on the new gasket surface, which prevents it from seizing on. And then reinstall our new oil filter, spinning it on by hand. Before we torque it to 15 Newton meters. Once we're satisfied all the oil has been drained from the engine, we can reinstall our drain plug with new crush washer. I like to thread it in by hand before torquing it. The torque specs for the drain plug are 42 Newton meters. Once we've replaced the drain plug, we can reinstall the skid plate or belly pan, replacing the 5 T30 Torx bolts. I like to put a little bit of nickel anti-seize or copper paste on the bolts just to prevent them from seizing, as they are exposed to a lot of road grime and elements. If we look under the rear passenger seat, we'll find the tool we need in order to remove the oil fill plug. In order to utilize this tool, we'll simply remove the screwdriver portion from the handle, leaving us with the special tool to remove the oil fill plug from the top of the cylinder. Once we have the tool, we can then turn the oil fill plug counterclockwise and prepare to add the oil. The oil I'll be using for this oil change is BMW Motorrad brand Advantech Ultimate SAE 5W40, which is original BMW engine oil. You can use any flavor you like as long as it's 5W40. I prefer to use the BMW brand. Once the cap is removed, I like to install a long neck funnel that I use only for my motorcycle's engine oil. I use a separate one for antifreeze. That eliminates any cross-contamination. We're going to pour in 4 liters of the 5W40 again. I like to use the BMW brand. You're welcome to use any flavor you like. Once we've installed the oil, we can replace the oil fill cap. And that concludes the oil change portion of our 1000K service. I'd like to now start the bike, just to confirm that the oil level is correct. Once the idle is dropped, we can turn off the bike, go to the side, check the sight glass to check our oil level. As we can see by the sight glass, the oil level is right below the maximum line, which is absolutely perfect. One other fluid level is a good idea to check would be your coolant level. Mine seems to be between the max and the min, which is satisfactory. One last thing we need to do to finish this service is to remove the side panel so we can access the ODB2 port to plug in our computer and reset the service light. Here to the right of the battery, you'll find the ODB port. We can plug in our ODB code reader, fire up our app, and do a diagnostics check and reset the service light. Fortunately, I won't be able to show you this, but I will take some screenshots so that you're able to see the operations that I performed. After we've reset the service reminder, we can power up the motorcycle to confirm that the service reminder has been removed. Cycling into my vehicle, scrolling all the way over. Service requirements, as you can see, it's 1 year from today's date or 10,000 kilometers, whatever comes first. That concludes our run-in service, 1,000 kilometer service of the R1250 GSA. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.